She's going to face off against Trump in that debate, who talks to the media all the time. He had that press conference talking all the time and having these rallies. But Vice President Kamala Harris says that it's time to go in a different direction and says that this is going to be very important.
Fox's Alexis McAdams in Pittsburgh. The August jobs report not meeting Wall Street expectations. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House.
Speaking in battleground Michigan and Ann Arbor, perhaps trying to get some of that crowd attending the Michigan-Texas game today, President Biden touted this new jobs report.
Kamala and I are so proud of our record. The greatest job creation record of any single presidential term in American history.
Now, the new August jobs report says 142,000 new jobs were added last month, but that's falling below expectations on Wall Street. The August jobs report also showed native-born Americans lost more than 1.3 million jobs over the past year, while foreign-born workers have gained 1.2 million.
And a foreign-born worker is a U.S. citizen who was either born overseas or naturalized. America's listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Body cam footage released. I'm Wes Woodward. Here's what's trending this hour. He committed a crime, then paid the price when confronted by police. Donnie Burgess reports on a May police shooting.
On the ground! On the ground! On the ground! On the ground!
You're hearing police audio from the May 28th shooting of a carjacking suspect at the Lexington Park Apartments. Security footage captured 20-year-old Jarrett Gray Jr. stealing a woman's car at a gas station. Indy Metro Police found him, and he did not drop his gun.
Drop it!
Gray died at the hospital. Another suspect was arrested. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
2 people were killed in a shooting Saturday morning. Ryan Hedrick reports.
Indy Metro Police got a call about a person shot on the city's east side shortly after 9 o'clock in the Tuxedo Park neighborhood, which is just off of East New York and Washington streets. When they got there, they found 2 people who had been shot. One died at the scene. The other died at the hospital. What led up to the shooting is still unclear. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A plane crashed into a cornfield in Anderson Friday morning. John Herrick reports.
It's just going to be a long process moving forward.
That's Captain Darwin Dwiggins with the Madison County Sheriff's Department discussing the investigation into that plane, which crashed near the Anderson Municipal Airport. It had left Fort Dodge, Iowa, and was supposed to land at the Anderson Airport. Instead, it crashed into a cornfield and burst into flames. Dwiggins says there were no survivors, and they're trying to figure out how this happened. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly clear, cool, low temperatures in the mid-40s. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny, high temperatures in the lower 70s. Temperatures will climb as the week goes on in the mid to upper 80s mid to late week. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Have you lost Indiana Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Hey, don't take your eyes off the road. Just listen. What you hear right now, your customers hear it too. Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now. Get results with Radio 1.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled you're with us. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Beautiful fall day out there. It feels a little bit like fall. I was at my office fully intending to get some things done today, and I did. But going on right outside my office, this is in downtown Carmel, was an annual event. They call it Artomobilia, and it's a big car show. And man, I walked in my office about 11:15 or so, and I looked through my front window, and there's a 1965 Shelby Cobra sitting right in front of my office, which is like my dream car. I absolutely love that car. I've always liked cars. I've always liked performance cars. And there's one sitting right there. So I absolutely did get some things done, which I need to, but went out and hung out a little bit, checked out the car show, saw a lot of people, sat in front of my office and smoked a cigar. If you came by and shook my hand and said you listened to the Gun Guy Show or you listened to Monday Gun Day on Hammer and Nigel, man, thank you. That means the world to me when folks come up and say they listen and they support the show and they support the Second Amendment. It's a big deal. And it means a lot to me. And it was a fun couple of hours that I spent there in front of my office during this thing because people can see my office. And I've got, the Gun Guy show decal or logo up in the window of my office, and it says Relford Law Office. And some people recognize the name, and it was just neat. It was cool. So if you came by or if you went out, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I saw some people open carrying, which was very cool. Including a couple of ladies. I saw one lady carrying a rose-colored Glock 43. At least the grip was rose, and she opened carrying that thing and an inside the waistband holster. Looked very secure. Looked like she knew exactly what she was doing. That kind of stuff just makes me smile because it's law-abiding citizens exercising their Second Amendment rights, and that's a big deal. That's something that we all ought to. I'll feel good about and celebrate. However you feel about open carry, listen, I'm the last guy that's going to get in that debate with anybody. If you want to waste about 3 days of your time, go on social media somewhere and post, I only open carry and it's the best way to carry, or post, open carry is stupid. And you will have a debate on your hands that will not end. And listen, I come out of this in a very simple way on that issue, which is in Indiana, and I had to clarify this for some people today. Some people came up to me and asked me the question. Wait a minute. Under constitutional carry, which we now have in Indiana, passed in 2022, something I fought for 10 years, with legislators like Ben Smaltz and Jim Lucas and Jerry Torr and Peggy Mayfield and many, many others. Aaron Freeman over in the Senate doesn't get near enough credit for being a hero of the Second Amendment there in the Indiana Senate. But yeah, we have constitutional carry now. And under constitutional carry, if you're at least 18 years old and you're not a prohibited possessor, meaning you can possess a firearm legally under both state and federal law. So you can't be a felon. You can't be a domestic abuser. You can't be under a domestic violence order of protection. You can't have been adjudicated to be mentally ill and a danger to yourself or others. And the list goes on. But if you can legally possess a firearm and you're at least 18 years old, you can carry a handgun now without a license in Indiana. Doesn't change where it's legal to carry and where it's not. But the question I had to answer a couple of times today, just at this public event, the event itself had nothing to do with firearms. It was about cars. But a couple of people asked me the question because they saw people open carrying. Well, doesn't that mean if they're open carrying that they must have a license, because you can only conceal carry under constitutional carry? And I corrected that. I clarified that issue and said, no, that's absolutely not correct. Just like our license in Indiana. And when people mention our handgun license, what we call here in Indiana, the name of our license is an Indiana license to carry handgun. That's what it says on it. That's what the statute calls it. That's what the state police that issue them call it. It is a license to carry handgun. And whenever anybody calls it a quote-unquote concealed carry license, I try not to be a condescending jerk about it, but I will always say, you know what, gently, I have to clarify, it's not a concealed carry license. It's a license to carry handgun. And that's not a distinction without a difference, because we don't have to conceal a firearm if you have a license. Exactly the same way, and it was written this way very much on purpose. I know because I was involved with the folks writing it and participated in that process over a damn long time. Constitutional carry works in exactly the same way. If you're lawful to possess a firearm under state and federal law, you're at least 18 years old, you can either open carry or you can conceal carry. And when everybody wants to get in a debate about open carry, I always just chuckle and say, you're not going to get that debate from me. Listen, I choose to conceal carry most times. 95, 98% of the time you see me, you're not going to see that I'm carrying a gun. You're not going to be able to tell. I like the idea that the first time, for instance, a bad guy finds out I'm carrying a gun is when the bad guy's getting shot. And before that, I don't think bad guys or anybody else, including people who are squeamish about the sight of a gun. And yes, it's irrational. Yes, it's dumb. Yes, it comes from an ignorance and a complete lack of education about firearms to be scared of someone who's just open carrying a handgun. Listen, if they intended to go out and commit some horrible crime, they're not going to let everybody know they're carrying a gun. Now, are there exceptions to that? I'm sure there have been. But as a general rule, someone's conduct, how they're acting, that tells me whether they're a risk to me, not the mere act of openly carrying a handgun. Openly carrying a handgun, to me, says that person doesn't mind the world knowing they're carrying a handgun because they're totally lawful in doing so. And so it is legal. And you know what? It's part of exercising your Second Amendment rights. And if people want to open carry their handgun, I say God bless them. There is one argument for open carry, because you hear a lot of arguments for open carry. You hear, well, I like to open carry because people will ask me, they'll ask questions like, a good friend of mine who I represented for a long time in a long, long case, we got to be good friends, that was resolved very successfully. But we got to be good friends, and he open carries everywhere he goes. In fact, his case arose out of him open carrying in a zoo. You may have heard about this case. It got a lot of publicity. And what he says is he likes open carrying because people will ask him, hey, is that legal? I didn't think you could do that in Indiana. And he says it's an opportunity to educate people on what the laws are and what the laws are not here in Indiana. And he also sees it as a way, because he's a law-abiding citizen who conducts himself respectfully in public, treats people with courtesy and respect. And he likes showing that he's the example of the armed citizen in Indiana and in America, frankly, that he's someone who's a law-abiding citizen who's respectful of everyone around him. And that may change people's attitudes about possession of firearms. I get that. That makes some sense to me. A lot of people argue against open carry, and they'll say, well, if a bad guy comes in a place where I'm carrying my gun and I'm carrying my gun openly and they see that I'm open carrying my gun, they're just going to shoot me first. I hear that all the time. You'll be the first one shot. Well, and I get that. You know, if I'm a bad guy and I'm absolutely intent on going into a particular location, say I want to go in a mall, and I want to shoot everybody there, and I walk in and I see somebody open carrying their gun, at that point I've got a decision to make. Is it possible I'll decide to shoot that person first so that then I have one less person to worry about in terms of returning fire as I conduct my mass shooting? That's a distinct possibility, except I've never seen a single published report of that ever happening. And in fact, I think it's as likely, and in fact, I think dramatically more likely, that someone would say, maybe today or maybe this mall, this particular location is not the best place to have a mass shooting because there's people with guns in here. And what we know is that mass shooters absolutely love to commit their mass shootings in gun-free zones. They don't go where they think people are going to be carrying guns. That's why they go to schools. That's why they go to gun-free zones like malls that have a big no firearms allowed policy posted. Now, luckily here in Indiana, those don't have the force of law. You don't get arrested for or prosecuted for a crime if you ignore that particular business or that location's policy. So the argument that, you'll be the first one shot, interesting. Why don't we ever hear about that happening? And isn't that inconsistent with the idea that mass shooters are cowards and invariably don't want to commit their horrendous, heinous crime, like we just saw in another mass shooting, a school shooting that's heartbreaking? They don't want to do those. They don't want to commit those when there's people there with guns. So I didn't even mean to start the show off talking about open carry, actually. I was just talking about a cool event in Carmel, this car show that I enjoyed out in front of my office. Literally, things set up right in front of my office there at the corner of Range Line and Main. If you're still out there or you're driving home from that, hope you had a great time. I'm not sure how long it runs. But, I just saw some people open carrying out there, exercising their Second Amendment rights, which led into that discussion. When we come back, I'm going to talk about good guys with guns. And, what the left will tell you, what the gun control advocates will tell you, that it's a myth that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's a quote from now former head of NRA, Wayne LaPierre. That was after the Sandy Hook shooting. And a lot of people who advocate out there for gun control, a lot of people tell you that you're irresponsible or dangerous or scary or any number of other things because you exercise your Second Amendment rights, will tell you that it's a myth, that we're all just walking around delusional, those of us who lawfully carry guns, because the good guy with a gun phenomenon of people who stop crime or stop mass shooting in particular, that's a myth because it never happens. What's the real data on this? And what's interesting is the FBI intentionally trying to hide the numbers, literally play hide the ball here. I guess that's not literally. Figuratively play hide the ball here in terms of trying to bury the numbers of when good guys actually have stopped mass shootings in this country. And I know what some of you are thinking out there right now. You say, hold on, Guy, you've had a client that stopped a mass shooting. Yes, I have. We'll talk about that. And that's actually featured in an article by John Lott from the Crime Prevention Research Center, who's been a guest here on this show more than once, who's a great writer, a great advocate, and an incredible statistician. We'll get into more on all of that and start to take your calls when we come back. Join the discussion, 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Kamala Harris is there right now. She's the de facto president because, let's be honest, President Applesauce Brains isn't calling the shots. It's her and the Obamas. And they're talking about how we need to have hope in this country. Donald Trump has not been the president for nearly 4 years now. And 12 of the last 16 years has been Democrat leadership. So why do we need hope? This is your doing. It's ridiculous.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Indiana Gun Club. You know, going into its second week, Indiana Gun Club is having a promotion on Benelli shotguns. Hey, I'm a Benelli shotgun owner. In fact, I bought mine, and now that I think about it, at Indiana Gun Club. But they're having a great promotion. Benelli just released their AI shotguns. That stands for Advanced Impact, which is great new technology in shotguns. There are new barrel and choke tube redesigns out there with a shotgun that's going to provide a more accurate and a harder hitting shotgun all the way out to 30 to 60 yards. They've got great prices on these shotguns right now. And if you buy a Benelli shotgun out at Indiana Gun Club, you're going to get free of charge a soft gun case and a range bag to hold your ammo, your ear and eye protection. That's a $150 value, which is fabulous as well. Check out my friends out at Indiana Gun Club. Indiana Gun Club, if you don't know, they're right here in central Indiana, located in Fortville, just a minute or two from Geist, literally right down the road on 113th Street. They're Indiana's premier shotgun club. That's where I learned to shoot sporting clays. That's where you can shoot trap, skeet, or sporting clays. You can have a corporate event out there. You can have it catered in. It's absolutely fabulous. I've been to many events, many fundraisers. I've taught and taken classes out there. It's just a great place to go for all the shotgun sports, and take advantage of this Benelli promotion going on right now, including a free range bag and a free soft case with a new Benelli shotgun. Check them out, my friends in Fortville, Indiana Gun Club, indianagunclub.com.
Is your car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My mechanic just suggested an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover repair bills if anything happens to the car. New brakes, transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait, you pay nothing on repairs? Ox gets it fixed? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance?
Yeah, you don't pay. Ox pays. Ox even has a 30-day money-back guarantee and is A+ rated on the BBB. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike those other warranty companies.
The last thing I need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote, 800-278-7239. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-278-7239. 800-278-7239. Or go to oxcarcare.com.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I'm a veteran. My victory was admitting I had PTSD and getting help.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I no longer see it as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. I call it post-traumatic growth.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran. I lost both legs in Vietnam.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was getting my benefits and a good education.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe. My victory was finding the help I needed.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Hey, y'all, I'm Blake Shelton.
Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
It's not too late to get the backyard of your dreams this year. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'll tell you what, we've had a caller. Looks like Marlon has called in. Marlon, what can we do for you?
Hey, sir. First off, I'd like to say I'm a long-time listener. I'm actually pretty left-wing, but I believe political tribalism is killing our country. So I think you know more about guns than anybody else. My daddy gave me he passed along a couple of years ago, and I got some guns I'm safe in Wyoming from him. I have no idea the legality of them. I know one of them sawed off.
Oh.
Beyond that, I have no idea what the legality of them is. I need to know what you recommend me doing to figure out how to handle these things one way or the other. I have no attachment to them. I don't mind selling them. I don't mind giving them away. I don't care. I just want to make sure I don't get caught with a crime.
No, I got you. Well, first of all, was he a resident of Indiana as well?
No, sir. He lived in Wyoming.
Okay. Well, there are limitations on transferring guns across state lines, but it sounds like that ship has sailed. The guns are in your possession now. You mentioned something sawed off. That's a shock.
Sir, they're actually in a safe in Wyoming still.
What's that? Oh, they're in Wyoming.
Yeah, my sister lives out there. She's got a safe deposit box. We put them in a safe deposit box safe in Wyoming.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, yeah, to get them here legally, and this is separate and aside from the issue of whether they're legal firearms. We'll get into that here in a minute. And there are some exceptions to the rule. Typically, guns can't be transferred as between residents of different states. And there's some exceptions for distribution of an estate to lawful heirs, et cetera. But the way to be very safe on that would be to have the gun shipped to an FFL, a gun store, FFL Federal Firearms Licensee, meaning a licensed gun store. And you go in there, you fill out the 4473 forms, and you can pick them up. Now, are they legal is a whole separate question. And you don't want to be shipping guns, certainly if they're not legal. You don't want to send them to an FFL or whatnot. You mentioned one was sawed off. Is that a shotgun?
Yeah.
Okay. A shotgun with a barrel less than 18 inches is illegal unless it's registered under the National Firearms Act. And if it was you say your grandfather?
My daddy.
Your dad, I'm sorry. If your dad got a stamp, a tax stamp, that is you file what's called a Form 1 with the ATF. It's an NFA form, National Firearms Act form that asks for permission to reduce the size of a barrel from 18 or more inches down to under 18. If he did that and has a tax stamp, then the administrator of his estate can transfer that gun to you legally with what's called a Form 5. That's a tax-free transfer to distribute an NFA item as part of an estate. If your dad did not register it, did not ask for permission from the government to do that on the front end, it's illegal. It's contraband. You ought to think of it just exactly like 2 kilos of cocaine.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've had people walk in with unregistered NFA items in my office, including some really rare firearms from World War II, full auto. One gentleman walked in with a Sturmgewehr 44. I mean, full auto, the original quote unquote assault rifle developed by Germany in World War II. It was beautiful. It looked like it had never been fired. It was probably worth $40,000 if it was legal to possess, but it had never been registered. And this guy's heartbroken. I'm telling him it's contraband. It's not legal to possess. It's not legal to sell. And he goes, but wait a minute, I looked up the value on the internet, And I was thinking $30,000-$40,000. I said yes if it was transferable, meaning if it was legal, meaning if it was registered. This was his grandfather who brought it back apparently during World War II. And I said, otherwise it's just like 2 kilos of cocaine. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you found 2 kilos of cocaine floating in the ocean and you brought that home, could you sell it? Sure. You sell it to an undercover DEA agent, you're going to do 10 years in prison. Mm-hmm. You sell it to the right person, okay, you could maybe make some money, but it's not worth near as much because it's not transferable as it would be if there was a tax stamp that came along with it. So if there's no tax stamp, it hasn't been registered, it's contraband, you can turn it, or whoever's back in Wyoming can turn it into the ATF, they can destroy it, render it permanently inoperable, and then it's legal. For the rest of the firearms, if they're otherwise legal, if they're just your normal, rifles, pistols, shotguns, rifles all have barrels 16 inches or over, shotguns have barrels 18 inches or over, nothing fully automatic, no suppressors, those are all NFA regulated items, then I would just have them, to me, to be totally safe about it, shipped to an FFL, to a gun store here in Indiana. You can go into the gun store, pick them up, you probably have to pay a transfer fee, maybe $25 or so, and then you pick them up, you take them home, and you're totally legal from there. Good question. I'll tell you what, we're a little past the bottom of the hour. We went long on that first segment. I think we're going to go ahead and break here. We'll come back and talk about a really interesting article published by, I consider him a friend. I'm not sure if you'd even remember who the hell I am, but John R. Lott, Dr. John R. Lott from the Crime Prevention Research Center. He's been a guest here on the show. We've talked on the phone several times. He wrote a great article entitled "The CDC," meaning the Centers for Disease Control, and the FBI working to hide data showing shootings stopped by good guys with guns. The federal government, through the CDC and the FBI, are working to hide the data showing shootings are actually stopped by good guys with guns. The government would mislead you? Apparently so. Great article. We'll go into the details on that. And also continue to take your calls, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
This could be one of the most consequential votes of our lifetime.
Who will be our next governor?
U.S. Senator.
Our next president? Who will represent us in the General Assembly?
You have a voice with your one vote.
Unhappy with the current state of affairs? You can do something about it. Voting is one of our most important rights as Americans.
It's how you can stand up for your beliefs,
your values,
and for future generations.
A reminder to make your vote count on November 5th.
November 5th.
November 5th.
From WIBC
and Urban One.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation. Like your neighbor Jerry.
When we first started looking for different options, we went to the internet. Really, we did choose Galaxy, and definitely happy that we did. We first had our front porch and our pool deck done. Decided we loved it so much, we had them out about 10, 11 months later to finish up and do our back porch.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a 15-year warranty.
The crews at Galaxy were great. They actually cared about my property, very punctual, knowledgeable, and just a great group of workers.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings works for any area like patios, garage floors, driveways, and around pools.
I'm 100% satisfied. It's not slippery and it's not hot. I was very impressed with the product. It's amazing that I don't burn my feet and my 6-year-old doesn't fall.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. We are out of this world.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, letting you know that when you need plumbing help, call who I call, my friends at Hope Plumbing. During the month of September, Hope will take $100 off a $500 or more plumbing service. Sounds like a fantastic deal to me. So if you notice a water leak, a clogged drain, or have any other plumbing needs, big or small, Hope Plumbing can fix them all. Hope Plumbing, 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Fox News, I'm Roger Stern. Former President Donald Trump speaking in Wisconsin today following news that New York Judge Juan Merchan has put off sentencing the Trump documents case until after the election.
Merchan also delayed consideration of the Trump team's argument that the conviction should be vacated due to the Supreme Court's ruling granting presidents immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts while in office.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The father of accused Georgia school shooter Colt Gray was in court along with his son to answer criminal charges.
Law enforcement arrested Colin Gray, claiming he provided the AR-style rifle used in the massacre. Crying and shaking in court, the father is charged with felony murder, involuntary manslaughter, and cruelty to children.
Fox's Steve Harrigan. America is listening to Fox News.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit DiamondsDirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's all in the numbers with Window Nation. They installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company. Over 20,000 online positive reviews. Do you know how hard it is to get a positive review online?
Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. 0 down, 0 interest for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. 866-90-NATION. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Zero Foxtrot isn't just a brand. It's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Foxtrot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Foxtrot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Foxtrot today at zerofoxtrot.com. It's not merely our products. It's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
The best tailgates before the Colts games are back, presented by Real Alternatives. Join us at the tailgate lot at McCarty and Church Street at 10 a.m. before the Colts-Texans game. Admission is free. Ice-cold Bud Light for purchase, Jack Daniels and food trucks. Mingle with the ladies from Twin Peaks and personalities from our station. Sign up to win tickets and upgrades for the game and $100 in Colts cash from Bud Light. No purchase necessary, but you must be present to win. Tailgate with us starting at 10 a.m. at McCarty and Church Street, presented by Real Alternatives.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And as I mentioned before the break, really interesting article by John R. Lott, Dr. John R. Lott, multiple-time guest here on The Gun Guy Show, president and creator of the Crime Policy Research Center, and they crank out a lot of, I think, very important research. And his background is as a statistician. And when it comes to statistics on guns and crime and murders, I'd put John R. Lott really above anybody else I've ever seen publish an article on that point. And it's really interesting, you know, the anti-gun people, the anti-Second Amendment people, the gun control activists out there, they really have a hard time with the idea that good guys are able to stop crime, that a good guy with a gun not only can, but good guys with guns do. And I say good guy, men, women, both, obviously. That they actually stop crimes, or that they stop, in particular, mass shootings. They have a big problem with that because it guts a lot of their argument. I mean, I've seen the argument over and over again. Now, you know, Shannon Watts, who founded, originally it was Million Moms for Gun Control, then they realized they were like 9.9 million moms shy of a million. and decided they better change the name. That's when it became Moms Demand Action. But I've seen her publish, whether it's on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, or otherwise. The good guy with the gun is a myth. It never happens. And even when it happens, in highly publicized cases, well, first of all, the media hates those events. Mainstream media will not publish about them. They won't cover them because they don't like the admission or the establishment of the fact that in fact, law-abiding citizens can and do stop mass shootings. But when my client, Elijah Dicken, in 2022, stopped the mass shooting in the Greenwood Park Mall, I'll tell you what, to help Elijah and also support the Two Way Project, gun rights group here in Indiana that I started, we were selling T-shirts that say 15 seconds, be like Eli. That's what it says on the front. 15 seconds, a little stopwatch next to it. It's really kind of cool. And then it said below that in parentheses, it says be like Eli. What does that refer to? From the time the bad guy in the Greenwood Park Mall started shooting, he emerged from a bathroom right off the food court there in the Greenwood Park Mall. He walked out. As he was walking out of the restroom, he shot the first person. Walked out into the food court, shot 2 more people immediately. From the time the bad guy, and I do not mention mass shooters' names, they're looking for notoriety, they're looking for fame, they're not going to get it from me. But from the time he started shooting to the time Eli Dicken shot him and stopped the threat, where the bad guy didn't pull the trigger another time, the total elapsed time was 15 seconds. 15 seconds. And let me tell you, I've been to some really good training on active shooting, and both an active shooter response, which is actually armed response. I've taken multiple courses on that myself as a student. I've also been to some great lectures where there was great information conveyed. And one guy, Ed Monk, and I've mentioned him before, this is the foremost authority. This guy has studied every school shooting and any other mass shooting that's happened in this country for the last 50 years. Studied them in detail. Studied them in detail. And he said, you know what? There's one conclusion you come out of in studying these, going right down into the intricacies, what kind of firearm was used, what kind of venue was it? Is it a gun-free zone or otherwise? And he will tell you that there are 2 factors in how many people get killed in a mass shooting: time and math. Time and math, that's it. Time, meaning the time the bad guy has to shoot innocent people. And typically, that's the time before someone shoots them, or at least shows up with enough force to scare them into running, taking their own life, or otherwise stopping the shooting. Otherwise, you're just adding up the bodies, because typically they can shoot X number of people per minute while they're allowed to shoot. As long as they have those number of targets, that's how many people they're going to shoot. And I went to a great presentation by Ed Monk, as I mentioned, right here in Indianapolis, and it was at a National Association of School Resource Officers. And so there's this huge room at the convention center, and it's full of cops and school administrators. Only people in the room. I was a guest of Mr. Monk, and I was thrilled to be there. And he went around the room and he picked some people at random and said, "Do you have an armed response prepared to stop a mass shooting with brutal, immediate, deadly force? Does that exist in your school?" No, but there's a police station only 10 minutes away. Okay, you have a police station only 10 minutes away. That means you're good with somewhere between 30 and 50 people getting shot in your school. And the person looked at him like, "What are you talking about?" That means that's acceptable to you. That's an okay number in your mind. You're willing to have 30 to, may have been 30 to 40. Don't quote me on the number. Very large, very high number. It's a shockingly high number. Because that's how many people a mass shooter can kill or wound. We're talking about casualties, so kill or wound in a full 10 minutes, whose not confronted in some way. That's it. So you're talking about time and math. That's it. So where does that resistance come from? Does it come from an armed teacher? Okay. Does it come from a school resource officer who's there? Have to be there. They can't just be on campus somewhere. You know, some school campus has got 6 buildings. They got 1 school resource officer who knows where they're going to be. Typically, mass shooters are smart enough to go where the armed response is not. So are they there? Are they available to deliver immediate, brutal, deadly force against that mass shooter to stop that mass shooting? If they're not, you're giving up X number of casualties. Period. End of story. And he goes, look, it's not about legislation. Pass whatever law you want. It'll have zero effect. You know, after the most recent school shooting, again, it's heartbreaking. Well, all of our hearts break equally. But that wasn't a law. A 14-year-old doesn't legally possess that firearm. He's already breaking the law. It's illegal to possess a gun on school property. He's breaking that law. It's illegal to shoot people. He's breaking that law. What one more law would have prevented that school shooting? So what do we hear over and over? It's the same old tired refrain. Oh, ban assault weapons. Look, we had an assault weapon ban from 1994 to 2004. Guess what effect it had on crime? Squat, zilch. A study by the National Institute of Justice, which is the research arm of the Department of Justice, said that the impact was, quote unquote, too small to measure, meaning no appreciable effect on crime whatsoever. We had one. And these idiots think if they if they ban something, let's ban all guns tomorrow. They seem to think, I mean, literally, when you listen to the speeches, we can prevent violence, we can prevent school shootings, we just need to pass this law and ban this or ban that. They seem to think, as preposterous as this sounds, that you pass that law and they push a button and everything that they just banned just goes poof and disappears, doesn't exist anymore. Let's ban all guns. Forget about the Second Amendment for a minute. And what are we going to push a button? Poof, all the guns disappear. Good guys, bad guys, everybody. They just, wow, where'd my guns go? Suddenly my safe's empty. How'd that happen? Oh, they passed a law. How incredibly naive is that? How ridiculous is that? But that's the way these people seem to think. We'll pass a law tomorrow to ban assault weapons. We'll stop mass shootings. Well, the worst school shooting in history, Virginia Tech, was committed with 2 handguns. So banning a particular type of firearm does nothing. And I'm going to talk more about how you actually stop mass shootings, because people will come at me on social media or otherwise. Occasionally I'll have a phone call here at the show, although most people aren't brave enough to do that. And they'll accuse me. Somebody will wag a finger at me, literally or figuratively, and say, well, you don't have a plan. You don't want us to ban any of your beloved firearms. And then I'll get accused. Oh, you care more about firearms than children. As ridiculous as that is. But you don't have a solution. You don't have a plan. You just want to stand in the way of any meaningful reform that'll save lives. I go, oh, I got a plan. I got a lot of solutions. You want to hear my solutions? I'll go into them right here on the show. But they're actually looking at cause and effect. You know, I've had cases. I've had civil cases, criminal cases, where you do an analysis called a root cause analysis. What's a root cause analysis? You look at something bad that happened, and you get into detail on what exactly caused that to happen, and at what stage could that bad thing have been prevented. Root cause analysis. You do a root cause analysis of a school shooting, whether it's the one we just had tragically or otherwise, and that gives you the solutions. They jump right out at you. And none of them involve passing any laws. They involve enforcing existing law, and they involve several other steps, and I'll get into all of them on the show. In the meantime, we'll come back and we'll get into the details. I've been teasing it here for 2 segments. I haven't gotten into it yet. We're going to have a real short segment when we come back, but I'm going to get into this article about how the government, including the FBI and the Centers for Disease Control, are actually hiding the data on good guys stopping mass shootings. And it's really intriguing, and the numbers will really jump out at you when we get into what the truth of this situation really is. Right now, we're taking a break. Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WYBC.
The debate is on. We'll see if the mics are too.
this thing on?
Our mics will definitely be on at the WIBC Debate Party, presented by Garage Doors of Indianapolis.
We are going to make debates fun again.
Tuesday, September 10th, downtown at the 416 Wabash Event Space.
Too big to miss.
Your ticket gets you a drink, hors d'oeuvres, and quality time with Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Tickets are sold out, but you can win your way in by visiting WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Rock Op Defense Solutions. This is a new firearm manufacturer. They started in Avon. It started by a good friend of mine. I had him on the show, Ross Earls. He was on the show last week again, as a matter of fact. They are producing great fighting rifles. That's exactly what they are. They're fighting rifles. I've got one. I've got what they call their Rod 15. Fabulous gun. These are made to be some of the most high-quality rifles you can obtain anywhere. And they're from right here in Indiana. They're manufactured right here, and parts are assembled here. And it's not only American-made, it's Indiana-made, and some of the finest rifles you're gonna see. They are mil-spec or better. A lot of things about my rifle is better than mil-spec, if you follow that terminology. And you can see what they have available. They have upgrade services, have repair services. They have a lot going on at Rock Op Defense Solutions. Check them out at Rock-Op Defense. That's Rock-Op Defense. Some of the premier fighting rifles are made in America, made right here in central Indiana. That's Rock-OpDefense.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's Terry Stacy, a customer of Premier Deck Coating, and they've changed our life when it comes to saving us time and money, preparing and protecting our deck year after year. Premier Deck Coating is the ultimate deck protection, sister company of Rhino Shield, locally owned. Right now, we've got black walnuts that fall from the trees that normally used to stain the deck, but no more now that we have Premier Deck Coating. It has completely transformed our deck with their special formulated product, and it's backed by a 10-year warranty. They came in, they sanded all the walking surfaces, they repaired the damaged boards, and then they applied their Protect Deck and Railing coating, and that repels mold and moisture, and it resists scratches, and it keeps our deck looking great for years to come. They can also do fences and pergolas, too. And listen to this. Right now, they're able to offer affordable monthly payments with 0% interest loans and no payments until next year to qualified customers. Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. We love what they were able to do for us. For a free quote, visit PremierDeckCoating.com.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Denny Smith here for Sundown Gardens. Now's the time to shop as their nursery lot is filling up for the fall. New container trees and shrubs are arriving weekly. The greenhouse is stocked with great perennials, fall annuals, mums, and more. Come shop and save on great things like pottery, now 50% off. Sundown wants to help you get your landscaping right for next spring. Take advantage of this season to help plants get established before winter. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. SundownGardens.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Can you hear me? So can your customers.
Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now.
Get results with Radio 1.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Never miss your favorite shows on WIBC. Get your content to go. Would you
like fries with that?
Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, Tony Kennett, The Gun Guy, Home and Garden. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns, This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'll tell you what, we only got about a minute and a half, but I think we got time for a quick question. Let's go to the phones. And Jim has called. Jim, you got a quick question for us?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Two questions, actually. Expiration on ammunition. Is there such a thing?
You know what? I've had people come out to the range I was running before with ammunition they found in Grandpa's attic from World War II, and it worked just great. If it doesn't have a lot of corrosion on it, self-defense ammo, I want fresh ammo. I change mine out every 6 months or so because I want it to be absolutely reliable, because that's self-defense. My life, my family's life may depend on it. Practice ammo, I don't know that there are actually expiration dates. I'd say try it out. Make sure it doesn't have a bunch of corrosion on it, or it's going to gum up your gun. It's not going to cycle. It's not going to function, depending on what kind of gun. But other than that, if it's practice ammo and it's not corroded, I would say try it out.
Well, I've got a cache of ammunition, but it's kept in sealed containers with desiccant bags.
No, I'd say that's great. Now, again, if it's really old, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, I wouldn't want to use that for self-defense ammo. But for practice ammo, shoot, I'd run it. Or, as my buddies would say, send it. In the meantime, we're coming up on the end of the first hour. It's time to take a break. Call back after the break, 317-239-9393. Right now, we're breaking at the top of the hour. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
It's just alcohol. Everybody drinks. You may have already heard this statement from your teen. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. Alcohol is the substance most commonly abused by teens. Survey data shows that 2 in 10 Indiana high school students reported drinking in the past month, and more than half of Hoosier teens say it would be easy to get alcohol. How do you talk with your teen about alcohol use, especially if they see peers or adults drinking? First, understand that your child may point out contradictions in our society's views on alcohol. It's okay to acknowledge those facts. Talk with your teen about the many risks of alcohol use. During your conversation, you can both validate their views and uphold your family values. You are the first line of defense against alcohol abuse, so don't be afraid to talk to your teen. What you say has a big influence on their decision to drink or not. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Trump pushes efficiency. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. 2024 Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump in Wisconsin today. The former president saying he will follow the suggestions of Tesla's top honcho.
At the suggestion of Elon Musk, I will create a government efficiency commission to conduct a complete financial and performance audit for the entire federal government.
Critics say the federal government already has oversight watchdogs like the Government Accountability Office. Vice President Harris preparing for Tuesday night's debate as Fox's Alexis McAdams reports from Pittsburgh.
The VP has not participated in a debate, in 4 years. And, hey, she's barely done any interviews with the media since she announced her candidacy. Tuesday's debate could be the only showdown now before the presidential election. If you can believe it, we're 2 months out now from people hitting the polls there for the election. She's going to face off against Trump in that debate, who talks to the media all the time.
Fox News Radio will provide live coverage and a simulcast of the ABC presidential debate. The FBI saying it foiled a planned terror attack arresting a Pakistani national near the U.S.-Canadian border.
Muhammad Shahzeb Khan, a 20-year-old Pakistani citizen living in Canada, told undercover agents he wanted to kill as many Jews as possible, according to a criminal complaint, which also says beginning in November 2023, Khan was sharing ISIS propaganda videos and pictures on an encrypted messaging app. Federal investigators say on the app, Khan told others he was trying to create an offline cell of fellow ISIS supporters who would carry out the attack with AR-style rifles at Jewish sites late last month.
That's Fox's C.B. Cotton. America is listening to Fox News.
Trump.
She's a radical left Marxist, and she'll destroy our country.
Harris.
Unlike Donald Trump, I will always put the middle class first.
The ABC presidential debate simulcast on Fox News Radio with Democracy 24 pre- and post-debate reporting and analysis. Hosted by Jaron Halpern and Jessica Rosenthal. The ABC presidential debate simulcast on Fox News Radio. Listen starting at 8 p.m. Tuesday at foxnewsradio.com and on the Fox News app.
The NFL is back on Fox with a huge doubleheader. First, it's Steelers-Falcons. Then Tom Brady makes his debut in the booth as the Cowboys take on the Browns. It all kicks off Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox.
We're bringing the thunder to football. Fox Weather is storming the field with the risk of weather impact on the hottest NFL games this season. Listen to Storming the Field every Friday on FoxNewsPodcasts.com. 93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
2 people shot. I'm Wes Woodward. Here's what's trending this hour. Indianapolis police are looking into a double murder. Ryan Hedrick has the details.
The call came in as one person shot, but when the cops arrived to the location on the city's east side near East New York and Washington streets, they quickly realized that 2 people had been shot. They tried to help both of the people, but one person died at the scene. The other died at the hospital. The neighborhood where the cops were called out to is near Tuxedo Park. Now police are looking for witnesses and, of course, whoever killed these 2 people. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
He didn't follow orders and lost his life. Donnie Burgess reports Indy Metro Police have released body cam footage.
Jarrett Gray Jr. stole a woman's car on North Post Road back on May 28th. Indy Metro Police tracked him and 3 other suspects to the Lexington Park apartments, where body cam footage shows Gray run away, and he had 2 guns with him.
Drop it! Drop it!
Gray died at the hospital. Another suspect was arrested. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
An Indianapolis man arrested on Thursday is someone who Fishers police say is connected to more than 5 auto theft cases in Hamilton County. John Herrick reports.
He's been identified as Montez Beach. Earlier this week, police say they were looking for Beach in a blacked-out Hyundai sedan, which they say they found with the help of technology and proactive police work. The sedan was found in Fishers near 126th Street and Reynolds Drive, and the officers say Beach was asleep in the driver's seat. He quickly surrendered and is facing several criminal charges now. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, mostly clear, cool, low temperatures in the mid-40s. And for tomorrow, mostly sunny, high temperatures in the lower 70s. Temperatures will climb as the week goes on in the mid to upper 80s mid to late week. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
Discover the Cumberland Covered Bridge Festival in Matthews, September 6th through 8th. Cross over the historic 1877 covered bridge for antique engines and tractors, live entertainment, and mouth-watering food. Then check out the cool rides at the Classic Car Show Sunday at the Matthews Community Center. Get details at showmegrantcounty.com. Grant County, Indiana. Classic cool.
Indiana adventure is near. Come to Grant County this year.
We need each other because every someone needs someone else.
We need each other because when we work together, we can do so much more.
We connect more children with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. And that's what Child Fund is all about.
Because when you make someone's world better, you make everyone's world better.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. We're glad you're with us. So I've been talking about this article that to me really is very interesting by John Lott, head of the Crime Prevention Research Center. And he talks about how the FBI and the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, two branches of the federal government, agencies of the federal government, it's a better way to put it, have been actively hiding the data about when private citizens, armed citizens, stop crime and in particular stop mass shootings. And this is clearly in partnership with mainstream media. And I'll give you a really good example. After the shooting here in the Indianapolis area at the Greenwood Park Mall that I was discussing before the break, where my friend and my client, Elijah Dickens, stopped that mass shooting in 15 seconds. The media only very reluctantly covered that story. And some of the media actually distorted it, even lied about it. I had to send a threatening letter to the producers of The View because that Sonny Haston, I think is the name, who I believe is a lawyer. And so, look, I've met a lot of dumb lawyers in my life. So, we're certainly, as a profession, not immune from that problem. But she should have been smart enough to know that what she was saying was a lie, because she said, well, I'm not sure, why, people think this is a good thing, because we had somebody, take a life in Indiana who was illegally carrying a gun in the mall. He's committing a crime. And I sent them a letter, and I said, that's what we call defamation per se. If you falsely accuse someone of committing a crime, that's defamation per se, meaning you don't even have to prove damages. Damages are just presumed. When someone falsely accuses you of having committed a crime because he committed no crime. Did the Greenwood Park Mall have a sign up as part of their code of conduct? You walk in, there's this pillar a few feet inside the main entrance, and it says code of conduct, and you go down, 4 or 5 lines down, it says no weapons. Okay, that's their policy. In Indiana, unlike several other states, in some states, even Texas, for some reason people always want to brag about Texas, say, oh yeah, well, Texas is so gun friendly. Oh, hell no. Texas has a lot of restrictions on your Second Amendment rights that I don't agree with, and I would not trade our gun laws with Texas's gun laws ever. A million years. One of them is if a business puts a particular sign up, it's dictated by statute. It says something along the lines of, hey, warning, firearms are prohibited on these premises. Possession of a firearm in these premises shall be subject to immediate arrest and prosecution pursuant to Texas Code, da-da-da-da. And if the business puts that sign up and you carry a gun in there, you can get arrested and prosecuted and go to jail. In Indiana, if there's a sign up that says no firearms allowed, you're violating that store or that business owner's policy if you carry a gun in there, even though they have the sign up that says no guns allowed, but you're not committing a crime. You don't go to jail. Now, if they see you carrying a gun and they ask you to leave, then you have to leave. Otherwise, you're committing the crime of trespass. You're not committing a gun crime, but you're trespassing because they told you to leave and you refused. If they tell you to leave and you leave, no harm, no foul. It's no different than no shirt, no shoes, no service. Right? You walk into a place, got no shoes on, and they've got no shirt, no shoes, no service, and they say, hey, yo, you're not wearing shoes. You got to leave. You say, oh, my bad, you leave. No harm, no foul. Or remember the no mask, no service. Remember those days? Well, that's how no guns is allowed. Now, the criminal trespass statute says if you've been denied entry to premises, you've been told you can't come in, and you come in anyway, you can be prosecuted for trespass. And you can be denied entry by a conspicuous posting at the entrance. So if a sign said, notice, anyone in possession of a firearm is hereby denied entry to these premises and may not enter. That denial of entry language might change this whole equation a bit. But a sign that just says no firearms, that's just a policy. And so that's what the issue was in Greenwood Park Mall. So Eli was committing no crime. And oh, by the way, I keep hearing this, and I've been asked this dozens of times in social media messages and otherwise. People say, yeah, I heard that Greenwood Park Mall banned Eli for life. Absolutely not. They did no such thing. In fact, they put out a letter that thanked him for his heroism in saving countless lives that day by stopping a mass shooting. So, at any rate, once that happened, the mainstream media only reluctantly covered it. Shannon Watts, who I mentioned, the founder of what is now Moms Demand Action, she tweeted, I don't know, and again, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know why the gun nuts are all celebrating this shooting in Indianapolis. I don't know, there's nothing to celebrate when someone illegally carrying a gun in a mall takes a human life. I replied to her tweet and said, same thing. Someone needs to understand what defamation per se is. He committed no crime. You accusing him of committing a crime is defamation. And lo and behold, poof, her tweet disappeared. So we had some media coverage that was completely twisted, but then you had the Associated Press headline. And I laughed out loud when I read this. It says, rare in U.S. for an active shooter to be stopped by bystander. So they didn't say, hey, God bless this hero in Indianapolis, in Greenwood, for putting himself in harm's way, for saving what could have been hundreds of lives in the Greenwood Park Mall. They felt the need to make the point in their headline that it's rare in the U.S. for an active shooter to be stopped by a bystander. And almost identically, the Washington Post put out a headline, Rampage in Indiana, a rare instance of armed civilian ending a mass shooting. So they weren't thanking Eli. They weren't celebrating Eli. They weren't saying, thank God a heroic bystander willing to put himself in harm's way was there to stop this shooting in 15 seconds. And again, I don't ever want to lose sight of the fact that 3 innocent people lost their lives that day. And we had to mourn them, and in that sense, there's nothing to celebrate here because 3 innocent people lost their lives. At the same time, the thing we ought to be thankful for, and what I think are a lot of people walking around right now owe their current safety, if not their lives, to Eli Dicken for stepping up and putting himself in harm's way. But rather than celebrating that and thanking him, they felt the need to make the point that this is a rare instance of an armed citizen ending a mass shooting. And this is right along with the fact the anti-gun people, you hear it all the time, good guy with a gun is a myth. The good guy with the gun is a myth. Is that true? And by the way, I mentioned the CDC. What has the CDC done along these lines? When the Obama administration asked the CDC to summarize data on gun homicides and self-defense shootings, both. The CDC summarized a lot of the data out there. They didn't do their own data. They summarized this research that had already been completed. And they cited several studies that said that defensive shootings where a law-abiding citizen stops a crime with a gun happen anywhere from 64,000 times a year to 3 million times a year in the U.S. That's a year. And a very well-known study, it's been out there for a long time, it's called KLEC, K-L-E-C-K, puts that number at 2.5 million per year. That's where, and by the way, in many of these, a very high percentage, the trigger's never pulled. A law-abiding citizens may just show a bad guy they've got a gun. Abusive, ex-boyfriend or husband shows up at the school parking lot or at the parking lot of his ex's employer as she's walking out. She's walking out of her place of employment. He's waiting for her with a baseball bat. She pulls her jacket back to reveal she's carrying a gun. He decides it's a bad day to be a bad guy. Gets in his car and leaves. A gun just stopped that confrontation. And studies show that happens as many times as 3 million. The KLEC study, I think, is the most comprehensive, puts it at 2.5 million. That was published along with a lot of other studies on homicides and defensive gun uses by the Centers for Disease Control. Guess what the gun control advocates started doing? In particular, the Gun Violence Archive, they have a completely slanted set of data and databases they use to promote gun control. They're very blatant about it. It's very obvious about it. They started lobbying the CDC to take that down off their website, that there were that many, 2.5 all the way up to 3 million defensive gun uses where a good person, a law-abiding citizen, stops a crime with a gun. They said, you got to take that down, basically because the gun nuts are using that to resist gun control. That yes, we have an unacceptable level of homicides in this country. Yes, we have way too many mass shootings, but look how many times the law-abiding citizen prevents crime with guns. That's huge. And that's a compelling argument, and it's been a winning argument for a long time. Guess what the CDC did? They took it down. In the meantime, the FBI has also compiled statistics on how many mass shootings are stopped by a bystander or an armed citizen. And John Lott looked at their studies, looked at their numbers, looked at their methodology for compiling those numbers, and wrote this article I'm mentioning. It's actually published in the Federalist, but I'm sure it's also available on the Crime Prevention Research Center's website. That sheds a lot of light on how misleading the FBI's been in tabulating that data, in reaching their conclusions, coming up with their numbers. And he actually gives corrected numbers, which are damn impressive when it comes to a good guy with a gun and the armed citizen stopping crime in general and mass shootings in particular. We'll get more into that, into more detail, and take your calls at 317-239-9393. That's 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The debate is on. We'll see if the mics are too.
This thing on?
Our mics will definitely be on at the WIBC Debate Party, presented by Garage Doors of Indianapolis.
We are going to make debates fun again.
Tuesday, September 10th, downtown at the 416 Wabash Event Space.
Too big to miss.
Your ticket gets you a drink, hors d'oeuvres, and quality time with Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Tickets are sold out, but you can win your way in by visiting WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our most popular class is our Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class. I just had one of those a couple of weekends ago at Indy Arms. I've got another one coming out. It's all the way out in November, so there's still plenty of seats available. This is at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be Saturday, November 9th It says $50 for an individual, $95 for couples, for 4.5 to 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. When can you use your gun in self-defense? When can you point your gun at someone legally? What are the crimes that people are often prosecuted for that they had no idea what laws they were breaking at the time they committed those crimes? I know I defend these people. That's why I put this course together. All that and a whole heck of a lot more we cover in 4.5 hours or so. Next one is at Parabellum in Avon, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Parabellum. They're on Kingston Street in Avon. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Honey, is our car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My sister just got an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover our repair bills if anything happens to our car, new brakes, a transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait a minute, we pay nothing on the repairs? Ox gets it fixed for us? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance? What's the number?
800-278-7239. Ox has a 30-day money-back guarantee and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike other warranty companies. We should call now. 800-278-7239.
The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-278-7239. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-278-7239, or go to oxcarcare.com.
Don't miss out. It's the largest Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at the Hancock County 4-H Fairgrounds in Greenfield, featuring the best dealers in the region and not just one, but 2 buildings next Saturday and Sunday. Just $6 for adults. Kids 12 and under get in free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hancock County 4-H Fairgrounds in Greenfield. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Is your pet a digging enthusiast, an escape artist, or a counter surfer? Invisible Fence brand has you covered. For the wannabe landscaper, we've got a solution to keep them active but not destructive. For the escape artist, our personalized pet fences keep them safe and sound at home. Counter surfer? No problem. We know how to keep cheese thieves at bay. Invisible Fence brand. Tailor-made solutions for your pet, your yard, and your needs. Visit invisiblefence.com today.
Can you hear me?
So can your customers. Get your message heard. Text business to 71007 now. Get results with Radio 1.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Zero Foxtrot isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. Founded and operated by veterans, Zero Foxtrot's unique apparel and gear echoes the grit of the warrior culture. Zero Foxtrot dedicates itself to producing content, honoring the sacrifices of forgotten heroes of the past, and connecting history to the present. Embark on a journey with Zero Foxtrot today at zerofoxtrot.com. It's not merely our products, it's about the ethos that we embody. Rugged, resilient, and timeless.
It's not too late to get the backyard of your dreams this year. Expand your living space with an Indy Decorative Concrete patio. Indy Decorative Concrete, the patio experts. Big enough to service, small enough to care. No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Tell you what, before we get into the accurate numbers here on armed citizens stopping mass shootings, let's go to the phone lines. And Charlie's got a question. Charlie, what you got?
Yeah, I enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Follow you on Facebook and the Two Way Project.
Cool. I appreciate that.
My question is, what is the difference between what they call a universal background check and a regular background check?
Yeah, what they're talking about there, Charlie, and I can answer this quickly for you. When talking about universal background checks, what they're really talking about is requiring background checks on sales as between private individuals. So if producer Jack wants to buy the SIG 365 I'm carrying right now, it's totally legal as long as I don't know him to be a felon or somebody who can't go buy his own gun. I can right here sell him my gun, and that's totally legal, and there's no background check required on that. The universal background checks, if they would pass that law, that would require us to trundle into some gun store or some government agency and have the government put him through a background check before I can sell him a gun. It makes no difference in terms of sales in gun shops, because gun stores all have to put buyers through background checks before they can sell them a gun. So gun stores have universal background checks, but what they're talking about is for the rest of us. So it's as between private individuals. A law requiring universal background checks would make private individuals put buyers through a background check as well. Let's go back to the phone lines, and Annie has called. Hi, Annie. I think you've called before.
I have. Hi, Guy. I just wanted to comment. What you're saying is so true. As a native-born Texan, a Houstonian, Texas gun laws suck. I am so glad to be 40 years in the land of the Indians up here in Indiana.
Good
it's
for
my
you.
Second home. And when I was a kid growing up in Texas, Sam Houston was my patron saint. He tried so long and hard to get Texas admitted to the Union. When he finally did, the Civil War broke out. He was offered 3 times to take allegiance to the Confederacy, and 3 times he declined. As far as I know, Texas is the only state that entered as a republic, as a full nation, joining the nation, the Republic of the United States of America. And Texas is still a whole other country, and I'm still proud to be one in spite of their gun laws. Sam Houston would be rolling in his grave if he'd known what they'd done with his gun laws. But I wanted to mention something about Eli and also Kirsty. There are men and women that are heroes, and they say there are people who run from trouble, from shootings, and there are those like Kirsty and Eli that run toward it. Firemen, policemen to help. And if I was a multimillionaire or billionaire, liberal Hollywood will never do this, but I would love for them to make a documentary with Eli and Kirsty. And from what I have gotten, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that Eli at the Greenwood Mall, I'm assuming he's right-handed, but not necessarily so. But I know with his gun hand, he was shooting at the shooter, and with his other hand, he was waving people to get behind me. And I remember you saying that the police chief down there said that his officers could not have been that accurate a shot in that kind of confusion.
Yeah, well, and Annie, thanks so much for your call. I mean, a lot of what you're saying is absolutely true, and I've seen the security video. I think I'm the only non-law enforcement that's seen the full security video of that shooting. And you're right, it was more of a sequence. As Eli drew his gun, he actually took a braced position on top of a tall mall trash can that was next to a column, so he actually had some cover, which is amazing that he had the peace of mind, had the presence of mind to make sure he was shooting from not only a supported position, but from cover that would protect him from returning fire. But before he took that brace position, he was waving people to leave, to get out of the mall and to get out of the line of fire. He then took 4 shots from a full 43 yards away, and just miraculously, 43 yards with a handgun that actually had chewed up sights on it. He had a kind of a minor motorcycle incident where he went down and skidded on his hip with a gun in a holster on his hip. And most Glocks with factory sights are essentially plastic, and it chewed up both the front and the rear sight. So they weren't even normal full height sights. And with imperfect sights from 43 yards away with a Glock 19, hit 2 out of his first 4 shots from 43 yards. He then, again, he was waving people. He actually, during those 4 shots, had the presence to stop at one point after 2, raise the muzzle of his gun as bystanders were screaming and yelling and running across his line of fire, and he had the presence to avoid shooting any innocents. But he made 2 out of 4 hits, and from his very first shot, the bad guy stopped shooting. He was hit. Bad guy stopped shooting. Eli closed then to about 20, 25 yards. And from a freehand standing position, shot 4 more shots, hit all 4, and then closed to a closer distance as the bad guy was trying to make it back into the bathroom he had just come out of. He was trying to get to cover in the bathroom, and he still had the rifle in his hand, still an active threat. And Eli took 2 more shots. He hit both those and ended the threat. So all in all, he was 8 out of 10, including 2 out of 4 from 43 yards away. That's yards, not feet. Which is just extraordinary. And yeah, no, the story you're talking about, and listen, I don't want to put words in Chief James Ison's mouth. He look, good cop, and I see in the media he catches some grief or on social media, and I don't understand it. He's a good cop, I think a great cop, and I think did an extraordinary job under really difficult conditions with the Greenwood Park Mall investigation. And look, that were there some minor missteps, sure, that's going to happen in any investigation. But overall, I thought it was an absolute stellar job by Chief Ison and his folks. But yeah, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he was making a point of how incredibly competent and accurate Eli was in his shooting. And he said that he showed his SWAT officers the video of the shooting and looked around at his SWAT team. And so these are people that are specially trained. That's what the S in SWAT stands for, right? Is special. And said, okay, how many of you guys could have made 8 out of 10 shots? Those that say 8 out of 10. And he said there was a lot of whistling and looking at the ceiling. and I think that's an absolutely 100% accurate story, or was he just trying to make the point that his officers were very, very impressed by Eli? Hey, I think it could be construed either way. And none of that is to denigrate the professionalism and of the fine officers down there in Greenwood. I'm sure they're very, very competent in doing their jobs. I think it was his way to sort of humbly say how impressed they all were with the great job that Eli did. And I got to tell you, I mean, I'm always looking for a worldly explanation for things. But 8 out of 10 shots starting at 43 yards, I don't know. I mean, I was raised in the church. My dad retired as a pastor. I think the hand of God was on Eli's shoulder. And I think an awful lot of people, maybe triple digits, are walking around alive today because God blessed them by putting Eli in that situation and gave him the skills that he exhibited that day. And I don't mean to get too serious about it, but it's a serious topic, and I believe that with all my heart. We're a little past the bottom of the hour. We're taking a break. We'll come back and finish the discussion on good guys with guns and what the real numbers really are. Again, we got a great example with Eli right here in Indianapolis area, with the shooting down in Greenwood that was interrupted, stopped cold by Eli Dicken. But what are the numbers overall? And the Crime Prevention Research Center and statistician and president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, John Lott, should have shed a lot of light on that. We'll go into that when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
We assume that you have one of those kind of soaking tubs.
Oh, you're talking about like up at the Coco Motel. The Kokomo there.
The Coco Motel?
Yeah.
Please tell me there's a real place called the Coco Motel.
There is, yeah. I don't know if it's still there or not, but it used to be.
How was I not notified?
How have you not stayed there?
The Coco Motel?
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder how we're still on the air?
No.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
JMV here from Miss M's Home and Garden, and now is the time to shop as their nursery lot is filling up for the fall. New container trees and shrubs are arriving weekly. The greenhouse is stocked with great perennials, fall annuals, mums, and more. Shop and save on great things like pottery, now 50% off, and it's a great time to get those campfire chairs. 20% off all patio furniture. You can't beat these deals. Miss M's Home and Garden, State Road 135 south of Wyland Road in Bargersville. MissM'sHomeandGarden.com.
The best tailgates before the Colts games are back, presented by Real Alternatives. Join us at the tailgate lot at McCarty and Church Street at 10 a.m. before the Colts-Texans game. Admission is free. Ice-cold Bud Light for purchase. Jack Daniels and food trucks. Mingle with the ladies from Twin Peaks and personalities from our station. Sign up to win tickets and upgrades for the game and $100 in Colts cash from Bud Light. No purchase necessary, but you must be present to win. Tailgate with us starting at 10 a.m. at McCarty and Church Street, presented by Real Alternatives.
It's not just adults who can feel stressed out. Our children feel stressed too. I'm TMA Silverman of Indiana Youth Institute. Between school demands, maintaining friendships, and expectations from adults, it's no wonder that children sometimes feel stressed out. But unlike adults, experts say children may not be able to recognize stress or know how to cope. Luckily, you can help your child handle the challenges they're facing. Start by making yourself available to talk and be a good listener. Let your child express their views, and when you respond, focus on your child's feelings rather than your own. You can also ask your child what they need from you, whether it's advice or help solving a problem. But if stress is still overwhelming, experts recommend you reach out to a licensed mental health professional to make sure your child gets the support they need and deserve. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
Stevens, Vice President Kamala Harris in Pittsburgh, prepping for her Tuesday night debate against former President Trump.
The VP has not participated in a debate, in 4 years. And, hey, she's barely done any interviews with the media since she announced her candidacy. Tuesday's debate could be the only showdown now before the presidential election.
And that's Fox's Alexis McAdams. Donald Trump campaigning today in Wisconsin. That Boeing Starliner back from space, minus the crew. They're still on board the International Space Station there because of safety concerns.
On the test mission, things don't always go as you planned. And so we were prepared. The fact that this vehicle is home, we're very happy to have the vehicle home. To me, a success. Clearly we got some work to do. The teams will understand that work and move forward.
NASA Deputy Associate Administrator Joel Montalbano. America's listening to Fox News.
Did you know you can now use your own body's healing properties to revitalize your achy joints and get you real lasting pain relief? Tony Katz here. We're talking about QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. If you're tired of arthritic pain in your knees, your hips, your back, your shoulder, this is something you need to check out. Everybody's talking about regenerative medicine, and the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are experts in these amazing treatments. You can enhance your joints, improve mobility, and get back to doing the stuff you love without pain and without drugs or surgery or downtime. Under the leadership of Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough using cellular therapies. The consultation is totally free, so call now. Take action to get lasting joint pain relief with help from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics in Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. Call 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN. QC Kinetics, Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. 317-559-PAIN.
Barrington Jewels believes in the timeless value of exquisite craftsmanship. Discover stunning collections for engagements, weddings, and more. Whether you're looking for the perfect diamond or a unique pre-owned piece, the expert staff at Barrington Jewels is here to guide you. Visit today to find the jewelry that will last a lifetime. Visit Barrington Jewels today or shop online at barringtonjewels.com. And remember, you haven't seen a diamond until you've seen a Barrington diamond.
Want to explore using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits to heat and cool your home or business? Learn more at AbsoluteComfort.org. That's AbsoluteComfort.org.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So the FBI decided to compile a list to look at this issue. Specifically, and this isn't looking at all defensive gun uses like I was talking about before, where numbers indicate, again, as once published by CDC, they've taken it down because they wanted to hide this fact from the American public at the request of gun control proponents. But as they published for a long time, up to 2.5 to 3 million times a year, a citizen, an armed citizen, uses a gun to prevent a crime. But going beyond looking at all crimes or all prevention of crimes, we look at how many times a member of the public carrying a gun stops a mass shooting. And listen, whenever we talk about mass shootings or school shootings or any of these things, when people want to talk to you about numbers and statistics or studies, make sure you see what definition they're talking about. You know, how are they defining a mass shooting? And here what they looked at was they looked at any shooting in which someone tries to shoot anyone in a populated public area. So they're in a populated public area, and they take at least one shot at someone, even if they don't hit anybody. If they get off at least one shot and they're in a public populated area where they're trying to kill members of the public, then they said that's a mass public shooting. Okay, they excluded things involving other crimes like robbery or fighting over drug turf, things that were associated with other specific crimes. We're talking about basically trying to shoot people at random in a populated public area. So even if no one's hit, but somebody fires a shot, then they said, okay, that's what we're talking about. Then they looked at, the FBI looked at, how many of those are stopped by private citizens. What they did is they hired researchers at Texas State University. And they said, we want you researchers here at Texas State to do this for us. You know what they did to go out and look for these numbers? They used Google. How about that for a high-level scientific intellectual study for you? They used Google. And by the way, how much of us trust Google in the sense of it not being slanted in a completely biased and biased toward liberal views kind of way? I have no doubt in my mind. But they use Google to go out looking for incidents of A, mass shootings, and B, what numbers of those were stopped by an armed citizen. And they came out with numbers, and they said what they found in a 10-year period from 2014 to the end of 2013, they found 350 active shooter cases. So these are, again, people trying to shoot people, a person trying to shoot people in a public populated area. They found 350 of those. And they said, you know what, of those, only 14. In only 14 were they stopped or interrupted by an armed citizen. So math is not my strong suit, but I put that right at 4%. And the conclusion is, well, see, the Moms Demand Action people and the gun control advocates and those people that are trying to destroy our Second Amendment rights in this country, they're all right because this is very rare. Just like the headline from the Washington Post. Rampage in Indiana, a rare instance of armed civilian ending a mass shooting. Or the Associated Press, rare in the U.S. for an active shooter to be stopped by a bystander. I'd say 4% pretty much falls in line with being rare. So the anti-gun people love this study. But wait, there's more. Because we have John Lott and the Crime Prevention Research Center on our side. And the researchers, these are professional statisticians, not somebody in a university using Google, went out in the same 10-year period. They actually found 515 active shooter incidents. Well, at first blush, you say, well, okay, wow, if only 14 of those were interrupted by a citizen, now we're down, 2.5% or something. Again, nobody criticized my math, man. I went to law school because there's no math involved. But the percentage goes down, but they didn't find just 14 of those were interrupted by a mass shooting. In fact, get this, they found that private citizens, armed citizens, stopped 180 of that 515, and that doesn't even include 27 more cases where a law-abiding citizen with a gun stopped the attacker before he could fire a shot. How about that? Because they say, well, it's not a mass shooting if there was no shot fired by the bad guy. So there were 27 additional cases. If you throw those in, you're talking about 207 out of 515. But let's be true to the protocol. Let's don't include the 27 because it's not a mass shooting unless bad guy got a shot off. Okay. That's the protocol for the assessment, so be it. But overall, the Crime Prevention Research Center estimates law-abiding citizens, based on their study, stopped roughly 35% of active shooters. 35%. And get this, over the last 5 years, and this would undoubtedly include the Greenwood Park Mall shooting, which happened 2 years ago, July, 39.6, just shy of 40% of mass shooters. Tell me that's rare. Tell me that's rare, Washington Post, Associated Press. That's not rare. That's damn near commonplace. Almost 1 out of 2. 40%, 39.6. That's amazing. It's not shocking to me. That's why a lot of us carry guns. I hope and pray I'm never in that situation, but on the rare possibility, the unlikely possibility that I am, I want to be as trained and as well equipped as possible to do exactly what Eli Dicken did. Again, Eli doesn't have any formal training. I've got hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours of training. And that's not to brag. It's just something I enjoy doing. I like to do, so I do a lot of it. And it's important to me. And with all the training I've had, would I feel incredibly blessed if I perform anywhere close to the way Eli Dicken did with no formal training whatsoever? Oh, you betcha. I'd be proud of that performance. I'd take that any day of the week. That's why a lot of us train. That's why a lot of us carry. Because guess what? Gun control advocates, Associated Press, Washington Post, Democrat Party. It's not rare. It's not rare at all. And what happened in the Greenwood Park Mall has happened time and time again. Again, over a 10-year period, 2014 to 2023, 180 times in this country. And then there was another 27 where a law-abiding citizen with a gun stopped an attacker before he could even fire a shot. That's the best of all possible outcomes. Those are the facts for you. And it's nice to introduce a little truth to the propaganda. Right now, we're at the 3/4 hour. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
The debate is on. We'll see if the mics are too.
This thing on?
Our mics will definitely be on at the WIBC Debate Party, presented by Garage Doors of Indianapolis.
We are going to make debates fun again.
Tuesday, September 10th, downtown at the 416 Wabash Event Space.
Too big to miss.
Your ticket gets you a drink, hors d'oeuvres, and quality time with Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Tickets are sold out, but you can win your way in by visiting WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Rock Op Defense Solutions, located in Avon. These are my friends. They were my friends before they even started this business. And so I'm really excited about the rifles they're producing right here in central Indiana. This is Rock Op Defense Solutions. They make what can only be called fighting rifles. That's right, self-defense rifles, semi-automatic, detachable magazine, the AR type rifle, you betcha, and some of the nicest, most high quality, most dependable, reliable firearms available. Their audience and their customers are not only law enforcement agencies or here in Indiana and beyond, but also the private citizen like me and you. I have one of their rifles. It's a Rod 15, they call it. And it's one of their nicer offerings. I absolutely love it. It's got anti-roll pins. It's got the best trigger I've ever had in an AR. And to me, a firearm is a lot about the trigger. No need to replace this trigger. A lot of people put aftermarket triggers in their ARs or other rifles. Absolutely no need to do that with a Rod 15. Not certainly in my rifle. And I've shot a lot of ARs. I own several. And this is the finest one that I own. And I've got some high-end ones that are even more expensive. So you can check them out, and their whole line. This is mil spec and beyond. is the only way I can describe it. That is, they manufacture their rifles to the highest standards, both for law enforcement and for private citizens. Check out what they have to offer at rock-opdefense.com. That's rock-op-defense. My friends at Rock Op Defense Solutions. That's Rock Op Defense Solutions, located in Avon. Again, rock-op-defense.com.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like your neighbor Brett.
We did Galaxy for the sidewalks and also the porch. The porch had a few pits. Galaxy said that was no problem.
Home or business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Obviously with the front sidewalk and step, so we didn't worry about any kind of slipping. You know, you're concerned about that after rain. And then when it did dry, it didn't spot, it didn't stain. It was just like it had been done yesterday.
Lots of styles to choose from. 4 times stronger than epoxy and a 15-year warranty.
One thing that my wife commented on was how easy the Galaxy coating swept versus just the bare concrete.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
We moved here recently. I didn't even think twice about calling anyone else but Galaxy to come do this house.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit, hims.com/joy.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com. He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment here of the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And, you know, when I'm advocating against gun control, saying, listen, you know, taking rights away from law-abiding citizens isn't going to do anything to keep anybody safe. It's not going to do anything to prevent, for instance, school shootings like we saw in Georgia here just a couple of days ago. Then a lot of times, like I said, people will come at me and say, well, all you want to do is say what we can't do. We can't pass gun control. That just means you have no solutions. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I talk about solutions all the time. The very best possible outcome for a mass shooting is a mass shooting that never happens. How do you make sure, to the greatest extent possible, that school shooting doesn't happen? We do need to do a much better job of risk identification in this country. How many times, just like we saw in Georgia, after a school shooting or some other mass shooting, we hear police say, well, they were on our radar. Well, then what the hell? How many times have we seen, well, they threatened a school shooting before, just like happened in Georgia? Then what the hell? We need risk identification. See something, say something, you bet. And then we need to be proactive in identifying those threats. If they need mental assistance, mental treatment, psychological treatment, let's get that for them. They need to be separated from their guns. If they're truly a threat, then let's look at that with due process out the wazoo. That's always the important part. But risk identification and prevention, and I could go on for much longer than we have just on that point. The next in terms of prevention is don't let them get in the school. We need to harden schools. We need to make it damn hard to get through the door. We need, yes, bulletproof entranceways. We need doors locked. We need protocols that keep bad guys out of school. We do a better job of protecting our money in banks or our politicians in government buildings than we do in protecting our kids in school when it comes to security of the infrastructure of the school itself. We need systems and infrastructure to make it damn hard to get in a school with a gun. And then, God forbid, that shooter gets in the school. We need the ability and the will and the willingness. We need the political will, and school administrators need to have the specific willingness to have the availability of immediate, brutal, deadly force directed at that shooter to stop the shooting as quickly as possible. Again, what are we talking about with a school shooting? Once they get in the school, you're talking about time and math. Time equals casualties, period, end of story. They get in the school with a gun, they're going to kill as many people as they can before they're stopped with brutal, deadly force. How quickly can we bring that brutal, deadly force to bear? That's what we as a country need to come to grips with, and that's what we need to have in place. Do I have solutions? Oh, I have solutions. I could go on for a hell of a lot longer than that, but those are the categories I put them in. Right now, that's this week's edition of The Gun Guy Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come back. This is Guy Relford on 93 WIDC.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been